Hi everyone, this is Julie Bruns. Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. I want you to thrive and be happy, peaceful, and content, no matter where you are on your journey. This podcast shares stories that will show you how it can be done, no matter what your circumstances. You'll be inspired and come away with a new spark of an idea. Never forget, anything is possible. New episodes are released every Wednesday. Subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. This helps others find our content and get happier sooner. To possibility and beyond. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Peace and Possibilities podcast. I'm here with Maria Panno. And Maria, I wanted you to come on and share your story because I'm really curious to see how you became to be the entrepreneur that you are. And I discovered your products, your jewelry, and you can tell us a little bit more about what you do and became how you came to this industry, I guess. I was given a gift for my 50th birthday, actually, from a really good friend of mine. And I was reading, it came in a box, cute little box, and it had a little card about what the business was and what it was all about. And I thought it was just a little inspirational message. It was just really cool. And I'm like, what is this company? I went on, I looked it up, I read a little bit about it. I found you and I thought, you know what? I want to talk to you and see how you created this and learn more about it. So, and I'm sure you're aware, you've seen a little bit of the, of my newsletter that the whole point of this podcast is to share stories with other people that are going to help them figure out that what they're doing in life, no matter how much they're working or what industry they're in, is all about being happy and being fulfilled and sharing their strengths. And it sounds like, from what I can tell already, I don't even know that much about you, that you're doing that. And I'm here so that other people can learn how to do just that sooner rather than later, right? That's my whole goal. So welcome. Thank you for joining.
Well, thank you for inviting me on. I'm really excited to share my story with you because after listening to the other podcasts with the other folks that you've invited on, it's actually been really inspiring to hear because we all, share the same story of being entrepreneurs, but have completely different backgrounds and completely different ways that we started our businesses and what's made us grow. So it's been interesting, just learning about that.
I know, right? So everyone has a story. It's so fascinating, which is why I love doing this because you never know. You just never know until you talk to people and ask questions, right? So let's
It's
start
true.
with the thank you. So let's start with the question about how you got into, explain what you do, your company, and how you got into this industry. Or like, did you study it? Did you what did you just kind of fall upon it? How did you get to where you are now?
So I did go to school for business and communications, so I feel like that idea there, it definitely was not like a plan. Oh, I'm going to start a business, when I'm older and have experience in X market. But that definitely started to make me think about what I could do on my own, because I definitely, when I was younger, my parents, their side hustle fund was dealing in antiques. And so I always had this experience, the customer service piece, all around me. On the weekends, we would do different kinds of like flea markets, and I would just see how it was like a family thing. It wasn't just their thing. My sister and brother and I, we were part of that. So I feel like that, along with my education, definitely got me where I'm at. But business-wise, I never saw myself really working in this industry. So what I do is it's all about holistic wellness. I have a semi-precious beaded bracelet collection that has evolved definitely over time. But my business degree helped me look at numbers right out of the gate. So it was really something that was a hobby that turned into a business. I started an eBay shop while I was working for a business handling their financial piece, and it was just side money fun. But I saw how it was making a huge impact. I mean, I made like $7,000 in 1 year selling used clothes, which seems really silly, but you start to get that bug, because it's like, what else could I do? So my creative mind, I started an Etsy shop. That's when Etsy kind of was becoming more of a thing, or at least for me. And I don't know if you know much the difference between eBay and Etsy, but for Etsy, you have to be considered, at least at the time, an artisan. Now you can buy things there in multiples that you necessarily aren't making handmade. But that's so I started with greeting cards. So this business really didn't even start off with the whole bracelet piece, which is just kind of interesting because I do think, especially after listening to your other podcast, things don't always start off with, where you end up necessarily. Because I was all about paper goods. I love receiving something in the mail, which also happens with these bracelets because you can buy them online on my web shop and on my Etsy shop. So it's like a total feel good, so to speak. But with the Etsy shop, I started with the greeting cards, and while I was doing that, I was practicing yoga. And actually, when I started practicing yoga a couple years prior to that, I noticed a huge change in both my body physically and mentally. Just like a really positive spin with other people, that people were willing to share how they were feeling. And not like it was a super emotional share, but just everybody walks out of class with a really positive vibe and energy. And I also noticed that after everyone would walk out of class, there was almost like this need for a reward, some way to reward themselves. And most yoga studios have a little gift shop area, whether it be apparel or greeting cards or, malas, necklaces, bracelets. And my business mind said, this is weird because everyone is natural minded, yet they're selling plastic bracelets. And it didn't make sense to me. I knew that there was some kind of healing with stones. I wasn't super familiar with it, but because I am completely obsessed with learning new things, that's just like where the whole evolution of this came about. I started reading about stones, and I bought some beads and started making bracelets. I've always been kind of crafty, and it literally just started taking off. So I had the greeting card business already, and the bracelet piece just started taking off. The stores that I was selling to, I started a wholesale business, were interested in the bracelets, and they asked for minimums, and I couldn't believe that that's what was taking off. And literally within the first year, my husband and I we added beeswax candles on and some organic apparel. And the whole time it was like, what's going to take off? The bracelets were really what both made people happy, happened to fit everyone. And there really was no issue with sizing because you can make a bracelet fit everyone's wrist. With the other things, greeting cards, not everyone's sending mail. Not everybody wants to burn a candle. There's an issue there too, because shipping candles is obviously an issue. Glass, apparel, it's not necessarily going to fit every single body type, but the bracelets always were the win. And that's, 6 years later, that's where we're at. We're still selling bracelets, and it's grown into both, a wholesale and direct sale retail business, which has been incredibly awesome. And we no longer do what we did before. We worked in IT sales, and it's evolved into this incredible family business. We have a 7-year-old, and this is what we do full time. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I have so many, I have so many questions. So when you had so this greeting card business that you started was on the side of, or was it just, you said, I'm going to do a little of this and kind of dip my toe in it. Like you said, you had that other job and you were doing something on the side. You were selling clothes and you made money doing that. And then you started with the greeting cards, and then you said, oh, and then you realized, had this epiphany when you were coming out of yoga class about the bracelets. Is that
Correct. It just was a natural transition. Like, this is what we're going to do. And it was really, what was cool about it was that I already had the experience just from my history with my folks of, selling to people face to face. And it wasn't necessarily about the product. Obviously you have to have a great product, but the true product is yourself. You have to sell yourself. And I love meeting new people. So that made the bracelet piece easy because it's such an easy thing to talk about. Our entry into the market, we're smart about keeping the price point low, to make it attractive. And I learned that just from, selling initially clothes and then greeting cards. You kind of figure out what are people willing to spend.
Okay. All right. So okay. Thanks for explaining that. So it's always like that you think it's going to go a certain way. I've never talked to anyone and said, yeah, this is exactly what I want to do. And I did 1, 2, 3, and then I'm now at 4. It almost never happens that way, right? So you thought you were
Right.
going to have this greeting card business or sell clothes or whatever, and then you had this idea about the bracelets. You start making them, and then people start buying them, and that starts to be the thing that really is taking off. And I'm always just curious about the, so you just, it's like an inkling, one little, like you said, you had this moment of, huh, those plastic bracelets aren't really aligned to everything else that yoga stands for. Maybe I could do something that's more aligned to that. And then there now you have this business. It's just crazy to me that one little spark, I love that too, that one little spark of an idea can just turn into something completely fulfilling and surprising. And, like you see, now you have this business and you don't have another job. This is what you do. Amazing.
Right. And I thank you for that. I think the most exciting part for me was, so when I saw like my body changing when I first started practicing yoga, because I had tried, I feel like every other sport, and it was like, it was the one thing that was left. And I noticed that shift. It was like, okay, I need to learn more about this so I can understand, why is my body changing mentally? Why do I have this different just thought process? And I'm noticing, other folks around me are coming to yoga for different reasons. It's not necessarily about movement, it's breath work. But because of that, I got my yoga certification, and it was so funny because, so you go, I mean, it's a very long process, understanding, first, yes, how your body's going to change, but how to teach others what to do. And it's, just about breathing in basically awkward positions, learning how to breathe in those. But going through that, I started to realize, becoming a yoga instructor, even though that's really what I wanted to do, it's that I couldn't touch enough people. And it's not about, communicating with everyone, but if you impact one person, you don't know how that's going to impact then 10 people, because that one person is going to touch 10. And then those individuals are going to touch that much more. And that, when I saw how that domino effect could happen, I think that's what the bracelet piece just started to grow, because most people, I feel like, wear something on their wrist. So that also seemed like an easy thing, instead of becoming a yoga instructor, because I also liked the freedom that we still have. We can still travel, and it's really cool because now that we sell wholesale, we sell nationwide. And so we get to travel to the other locations that sell the product, which is really fun. We're not just limited, to teaching in one area. Rather, being able to have that mobility, which is really awesome, especially being a family, and making this a family business.
Yeah. So say the name of the business again.
So that's really what's interesting about it. So it's called Infinite Warrior. And the origin of the name, I actually, with one of my colleagues that I went through yoga certification with, she's a child therapist, and she wanted to start helping children in a different way, not using necessarily medication, instead teaching them how to use yoga, to get through any kind of mental illness. And so her and I were going to open up a studio, and we had found one just off the UIC campus, and it was already a business that was there, and the woman was moving, and we had entertained buying that business. And I had come up with this name, Infinite Warrior. And this is this is when I had just started the greeting cards. I really didn't have a name for them yet. They weren't online, and things just didn't happen with the yoga studio. Things weren't in alignment. It didn't make sense. She also had children, and it was, how are we going to manage this? Because we both knew we had to be physically there. And since I was the one that came up with the name, she was okay with it. I wanted to then start a business. And so that's where the name came from. Because to me, you're not just practicing yoga on the mat. I noticed everything about my attitude changes after I practice. I'm a much kinder person to both myself and everyone else. So you're infinitely a warrior in my eyes if you practice yoga, whether it's movement or breath work. So that's the origin of the name.
I love that. That's so cool. Yeah, it's crazy that you thought you were going to have a yoga studio, and now it's a completely different business. And it's just that's
Right.
it's also funny too. You just have to go where you're drawn to go, or see what's aligning, and if it's not feeling right, to kind of turn the other way. And okay, this doesn't align. Maybe it's something else. You're always getting signs, and that's how I feel about it. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Okay, so so now you have a successful business, you have a family, this is all you do, and it's going well. Why do you think, so I'm hearing right away that how curious you are, and how excited about life, and sounds like you love to learn, and you were just saying, I love love learning new things and stuff. So that's probably a key component of your success because you're trying to figure out what's going to work. And being curious is a good way to do that. What else do you attribute this success? Because you don't know, like, so it sounds like to me, what I'm hearing from you is no matter what you ended up pursuing, it was probably going to work for you simply because of your attitude and you're trying to figure things out the right way. But at the end of the day, you never know what, like you said, is the thing that's going to be the most successful. So you come up with this bracelet idea, and that's kind of a little bit of luck because you're like, okay, I see how this could be valuable, but you also don't know if what you're thinking is going to be right. And that's what everyone's going to respond to, but they did. But there's something else in there. There's another reason that now you're building this business and you have this mobility and this freedom. What else? What else do you attribute that to? What do you think made you successful in this now?
Well, I think that having a meaningful career, which is what this has turned into, it's all about, finding your passion and running with it. Because I know for myself, that's what, there are days where it's obviously a long day. You've got a lot of orders to fill, or maybe web traffic is down and you don't know why. And it's like, because it's something, at least for me, that I'm super excited about, I just keep going. And that's, I feel like, what's made it awesome. And passion, because I feel like people that come to me and say, hey, what do you think about this idea? I want to start this business. And immediately I say, is it something that you're passionate about? Is it something that you're excited about? Because there are going to be long days when things are slow or there's a lot to do. But if it's something that you're excited about, because for me, I mean, I really could work all day and all night because I really love what I do. And I know that's often just like phrase, people, teachers, they love what they do, but there's something that sparks them. I feel like teachers they love seeing the excitement in children's faces, right? When they figure something out. And for me, when people make the connection, it's so incredible to watch their body shift. And I've seen people have a physical shift in their body, when they put a bracelet on, and that it just excites me that I'm able to teach other people. So I still have the teaching piece, which I think keeps me going because I do love educating others. But from that, I also learn, what's working and not working, which clearly has given me serious momentum, to keep going. That, and I've always loved going shopping. I love the touch piece, and I love relationships, building relationships with folks. So for me, small business really is where it's at, because in many of the locations that Infinite Warrior sold in, I already have relationships with these store owners and the staff, small business. And years later, all of a sudden it's like, wait, this is what you're doing for a living? Why didn't you say something? We want to carry the line. And it's about that relationship, which is a lifelong, process, which I think too works for other people in business. If you open up a restaurant, obviously your friends and family, your social environment, they're going to come and check it out, right? To support you. Mm-hmm. So that gives you that momentum, same kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that momentum. And it's so true. I think you hear about it so often. Everyone says, oh, do what you're passionate about, because eventually there's going to be hard days. There's going to be things you don't want to do, but underneath all of it, if you just still can't wait to do the next thing. And someone on podcast I did recently, I haven't released it yet, said, if you wake up thinking about it and you go to bed thinking about it. I've never experienced that until now. This business I've had, I always loved I loved working. I loved learning. And in my learning and development career, I've always liked my jobs, but I was never like, I want to do it. When I jump out of bed, I wasn't like super excited. And I certainly wasn't going to bed thinking about it. I was like trying to turn it off and do other things. And now I get it. Now that I have this passion and drive, I understand what everyone's talking about when they say I could work nonstop 24/7. I was like, ew, like why would you want to? Why don't you like everything else in your life? I was always more about balance, but I'm like, oh, no, I get it. I still like everything else in my life, but I go to bed thinking about this. I wake up thinking about it, and everything throughout the day is driving me to learn, to like have a new idea. Like all these ideas are coming out and sparking different things. I've never experienced it before because I'm in alignment and I have that momentum about all these things that I'm excited about. So I totally get what you're saying now. I would have understood it if you had said it 5 years ago, but I still would have been like, gosh, I can't wait to find that. And now that I have it, I'm like, I get it. And it also is giving me more appreciation for, like you said, small business owners, like people that are actually going out and doing all this hard work on their own and figuring it out. Now that I had to figure out how to do everything I've done to this day with this business, I've figured out on my own. I'm like, oh, wow, this this takes a lot of effort. You know, these people deserve
Yes.
to have some recognition. Yeah.
Well, and what you're saying to me, so I love coffee, but I think part of it for me is because it creates some kind of experience, right? Because you can go to coffee by yourself, but you can meet other people. So I love that social piece
Mm-hmm.
about it. And so to me, like what you're all saying, to me that's like having a cup of coffee, because you sound so excited when you're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you've found something that fuels your passion, and it's like, how are you not going to thrive when you're that excited about what you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have those creative juices flowing because you're excited about it and you're thinking about it constantly, but it's not a negative thing because that's clearly what keeps your mind going.
Mm-hmm. So true. So true. But you can't give it to someone, and that's the hard part. You just have to figure it out. But I tell my kids, because I have boys that are older, I say to them, and I've been saying for years, just keep going towards the thing that you're like, ooh, I want to learn more about that. So it might not just be this, it's not necessarily going to be this huge light shining on you or this really obvious thing all the time. But if you keep going, like you were saying, towards that thing that you're like, I'm curious about this. What about this bracelet? What about this car? You keep going towards the thing that's lighting that spark or that you want to learn more about. You can't really go wrong. It's probably going to go down a different path. That's okay, but at least you're going towards something of interest, and hopefully you'll figure it out even sooner so that you can live a long time doing that instead of waiting till like me until you're 50 and doing it, you know.
Well, 50 is
Yeah.
still young, and that's it's so encouraging, isn't it? And I feel like that's what I keep saying to people. Like, you'll all of a sudden it'll hit you and you'll look back and it's like, okay, so I met this person, I went into this place, like what got you to this point? And I
Mm-hmm.
think too, it's an important thing because 6 years in now, I can't even, looking back, thinking about even having this talk with you, it's like, wow, yeah, I was helping pour candles, in the beginning, and we were selling clothing and bags, and it's like all these things have gotten me where I'm at, and we're not. I mean, that is years ago, and I look at pictures to see what's gotten me here, because sometimes it's like, okay, boy, there's so much room for growth still. It's like, wow, look at how much I have grown, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yep.
So whatever those things were for you that before that light,
Always.
hit
Yes.
you, like, this is it,
You're growing.
because it
Yes.
doesn't just happen. Yes.
No. Yeah, that's the important part. All right, so what advice would you have for someone who's trying to figure out, so you figured out earlier, I figured out later. What would you say to, so you have a son or a daughter? Said
I
7-year-old.
have a daughter. Yeah,
Okay.
she's 7.
So what will you say to her along the way now and up until like she's in college? What would you say if she's, Mom, I want to have I want to do what you do, or I really want to love my work like you do at some point. She says, what do I want to do with my life? What are you going to tell her? What advice would you have?
Well, what's interesting is I literally was on the way home from a show last weekend, and she knew I was on the way home because I called to tell, and she said flat out, Mom, I've got this idea. I've got a business idea. And it's so funny because, I mean, I keep saying that as a family business because it truly is. I guess I didn't realize how much she's listening literally all the time and taking
Mm-hmm.
those ideas. And really, her idea is it's cute and it would work. And she kind of put all the pieces together, but supporting that. I mean, for me, it's all about the learning piece, and that's so the few questions that I had for her, she already had answers, which was awesome. But it always doesn't work out that way.
Right.
But I could tell she was excited, and that's really what I jump on. Especially when folks get excited about something, even if they're not looking for a new career or something new to do. I feel like that's really what I jump on immediately for that shift. And for kids, I mean, looking back, I look at even in high school, things that happened in high school and where I went, how that shaped where I'm at today. So the community that she's part of at school, they are all about, future, obviously, and she doesn't realize that at 7. She's talking
Mm-hmm.
about what she wants to do,
Mm-hmm.
and she's saying that she wants to have her own business, which I think is really cute. And maybe she will.
Mm-hmm.
She's definitely girl boss minded, but she definitely wants to touch other people, and I love that. At 7, that's she's already seeing the impact that we're making as a family, and that's the same kind of thing. So if this idea that she's come up with, if it happens, great. And I told her we can definitely, sit down and have a meeting about it because I want to encourage her. And maybe it doesn't work out, and that's fine. But because I know, when I first showed up, obviously greeting cards, I'm not even selling them anymore.
Mhm.
So it might morph into something entirely different, but I'm all about encouraging, trying it out because you really don't know what's going to happen.
That I love that. Support the idea and try it out. You just never know. I love that. Awesome. So a final question for you. What do you regret? Not doing sooner. So not about like, because I'm one of those people that I don't really have a ton of regrets simply because I believe everything that happens, good and bad, brings you to where you are now. What do you, what do you wish you had done sooner or learned a little bit earlier so that you could be here sooner in your life? Or is there anything that you like wish someone would have told you when you were 20 or something like that?
Well, for the top thing, I'm just like you. I'm not big on regrets because it all happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish that I would have started practicing yoga at a very young age. And I can't believe that, how it's changed my life, not even just business wise, but just for me as a person, because I treat everyone else differently, myself differently. So I feel like that's the one thing that I would really like to see happen in schools. I really would like to see, because I see even with my Bella, how it's changed her. So I wish I would have done that. And then the other thing, I didn't, when I was in college, I was working at a home improvement store, and that really did help me learn more about, how to run a business. But I wish I would have done more internships. I mean, I didn't really do anything on that level that taught me anything about this business. Now, who knew that this is where I would go? But now that I see how internships can really, give you a taste, like I wish I would have experienced beyond just working with my parents, more about small business, because that's obviously where I'm at, and I worked at a big box store. So I saw that side of it, but I really, especially even in, at the high school level, just exposing yourself to that is so awesome to kind of see like what does get you excited, because who knew that this is what I would be doing, selling literally rocks on string. And it's the most incredible thing, because I'm now not just, so I live in the Milwaukee area. I'm not just in Milwaukee. I'm all over the world. Like, how cool is that? That's something that I've put together, right? So like an internship, that at least gives you a little taste. So I wish I would have jumped on that more.
Yeah, me too. It wasn't a big thing when I was in college, and my son, he just graduated from college. It's the same, everyone they do one a year, one every summer. Before it was like if you could just get one throughout your entire college experience, it was a big deal. I know I didn't do that either, and you can learn so much without like having to graduate, take jobs, then decide you're on the wrong path. You could have learned earlier and a little bit more easily. I agree.
Right. There's no risk really or there's risk, but nothing like jumping into something and then, having that be where you're paying the bills. So you have to love it whether you want to or not.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you. Cool. Okay. So, so Infinite Warrior is the name of the company, right? Is that the website?
Yes. Yeah. The website is Be an Infinite Warrior.
Okay. So they can go on and buy online, or they have to buy your products in stores, or where they're all.
So if you go on the website, yes, you of course can buy on the website, but like I said, Infinite Warriors in stores nationwide, and I love inviting people, to shop at, if there's a local business that's close by, definitely go check it out, because why not go meet someone, face to face? They can get their hands on the brochure, which has the healing stone chart that I created, and then they get to see it in person, the touch piece. But otherwise, yes, of course, they can buy it online. But I'm also, push small business, to the next level.
Yeah, for sure, which is how I encountered it. My friend got it at a local store here in the Chicago suburbs, and that's how I got it on and I wear it every day, and I love it, and I look down in it, and it says this peaceful vibe. I'm not really sure. I'm sure you understand what it is, but I'm like, this is so cool.
I wonder which bracelet you have.
Yeah, it's silver. It's got all these silver beads, and it's got one brown stone in it.
Okay, so you have hematite, which is the stone the human body reacts to the fastest. It relaxes the nervous system. That is so cool. I wear that stone every single day because I have horrible circulation, so it helps with my circulation, and I don't have circulation issues, thanks to that. And two, it's very grounding. So it's like you're grounded, yet you feel super lifted because it's vibrationally lifting.
Oh, it's
I hope you're
interesting.
feeling that.
No,
Yes.
it's funny too. Well, the person who gave it to me, I love her. She's a dear friend. I've known her for 30 years. And I feel that way around her too. And she's works at the store that she bought it from, I think. And she's probably around that stuff all the time. And so now when I look in and look at it, I think of her, and I have all that other, um, all of the other healing stuff you just talked about too. So yeah, I love it. I'm so, well, I want people to go get more of that, because who wouldn't want more of that, right?
Right. Right. So every time you look at your wrist, you're smiling, which is the goal.
Thanks for joining, and go find some more of this inspiration, and check out be an infinite warrior.com, and you can see all the beautiful things that Maria's creating. So thanks, Maria, for joining.
Thank you so much for inviting me on. It's been
It was
fun.
great. It was great talking with you.